Elspeth had once been a village healer who trusted what her eyes could see. Then she entered a hidden house beneath the hills where the walls lied, and one drop of fey ointment changed her forever. Now her right eye sees through glamour, forgotten bargains, and truths no mortal was meant to find. She chose to travel with Lorian, a fallen fey lord hunted by his own court, and Sira, the child he would sacrifice everything to protect. They have no home, only the road. And on that road, some old bargains are still waiting to be paid. By the fourth day, Lorian remained in the saddle only by pretending pain belonged to someone else. He sat upright on the black horse, one hand on the reins, the other hidden beneath his cloak. From a distance he was still the same severe man who treated weakness as a private failure. Up close, the horse had slowed, sweat shone at his temple despite the cold, and his shoulders were too still. Elspeth rode behind, with Sira asleep inside her cloak. He had broken a bargain his own court still called law, and the wound in his side was what it had cost him. Lorian. He did not turn. I know you heard me. Hearing you does not oblige me to answer. His voice lacked its usual edge. That worried her. She drew alongside and caught his wrist before he could move away. His skin was burning. For a moment she did not move her hand, telling herself it was only to be certain of the fever. You have a fever. It will pass. So will you, if you fall beneath your own horse. He gave her a look of exhausted offense, but had no strength left for an argument. Ahead, the road descended into a village gathered among low green hills. Whitewashed houses leaned toward a square with an old stone well at its center. Smoke curled from the chimneys. Late apples glowed among the leaves. We're stopping, Elspeth said, for one night. She let him keep the fiction. By morning, she would decide its length. The inn was warm with onions, bread, damp wool, and wood smoke. The innkeeper's curiosity ended when Lorian placed a gold coin on the counter. Their room was small but clean. Lorian reached the nearest bed and sat down heavily. Take off the cloak. I can manage. Then begin. A little of his old irritation returned. It carried him as far as the clasp. Beneath his shirt, the bandage around his ribs had soaked through. Elspeth unwound it carefully. The wound was deep but clean. A fey body should already have begun closing it, yet its edges remained trapped in the first moment of injury. Her right eye, the one that had learned to see through fey lies, showed her why. Lorian's magic shimmered weakly beneath his human shape, while gray threads worried the wound open. The blade left something behind. Yes. What was it? A weapon made to wound my kind. Can you remove the magic? Not here. Elspeth cleaned the cut. He made no sound, though his fingers tightened in the sheet until the knuckles paled. He watched her hands instead of the wound, as if the pain were easier to bear from there. Then you stay in bed. No. She looked up. Even feverish, Lorian could make refusal sound like law. I will rest tonight, he said. Tomorrow I will decide whether we continue. Elspeth tied the fresh bandage. Tomorrow you may decide anything you please if you are conscious. He opened his mouth. His eyes closed before the answer arrived. For once, his body had the better argument. Sira woke hungry, so Elspeth took her downstairs while Lorian slept. The innkeeper was stirring a large pot over the fire. I need willow bark, thyme, and honey, Elspeth said, for a fever. The woman pointed them toward the kitchen, where Elspeth began instructing the cook on how long the bark must simmer and exactly when the honey should be added. Sira sat nearby with a bowl of warm milk. When Elspeth next looked over, another child had joined her, a girl of about 6, with chestnut hair and red yarn wound around her fingers. I'm Ilena, the girl said. Sira. Ilena took 2 walnut shells from a bowl. We can make boats. Sira studied one. Where will they sail? In the channel outside. The water is shallow. Then they won't get lost. This seemed to satisfy them both. Soon they were crouched beside the narrow runnel outside the inn. Ilena filled every silence Sira left for her, and Sira, who usually withdrew from strangers, allowed it. When one of the walnut boats lodged between 2 stones, Ilena laughed. A moment later, Sira laughed with her. Elspeth stopped crushing the bark. For 4 nights, Sira had cried in her sleep. She had asked about her mother once, then gone silent as if the name might enlarge the loss. Now she knelt in the water with wet sleeves, laughing over a walnut shell. Elspeth did not call her inside. Near dusk, a woman emerged from the house opposite the inn. Ilena, come home! Before leaving, Ilena tied the red yarn around Sira's wrist. For tomorrow. What happens tomorrow? Sira asked. Ilena pointed to the old well. I'll show you a place. Her mother's voice sharpened. Ilena, stay away from that well. I was only going to show her. Tomorrow you may show her the garden. Ilena sighed with the deep injustice of 6 years and ran home. Sira examined the bracelet. Elspeth looked toward the old well. It waited patiently. The next morning, Sira woke her in tears. Lorian slept restlessly in the other bed, the fever worse. What is it? Ilena is gone. The name passed through Elspeth without finding anything. Who is Ilena? Sira became very still. The girl with the boats. Elspeth remembered the kitchen, the walnut shells, Sira laughing beside the water. There had been someone beside her, yet the child's face was gone. Perhaps I wasn't paying attention. Sira raised her wrist. The red thread remained. She gave me this. Elspeth changed the cloth on Lorian's forehead, pulled on her cloak, and said, Show me her house. The house opposite the inn smelled of fresh bread. The woman from the evening before opened the door. We're looking for Ilena, Elspeth said. The woman stared at her. Who? Your daughter, Sira said. Color left the woman's face. I have no daughter. Behind her, a man was setting the table. He turned to cut the bread and divided it into 3 portions, one for himself, one for his wife, and one for the empty place between them. He looked down at the 3rd piece. That's strange. What is? His wife asked. I cut too much. It's Ilena's, Sira said. The woman stepped back. Please leave. Elspeth's right eye caught a line of small silver footprints across the threshold. They crossed the square and ended at the old well. Sira stood beside the stone rim. She's down there. We don't know that. I do. Elspeth reached for the cover, but an elderly merchant stopped her. That well hasn't been used in years. Why? The water went bitter. There's another near the gardens, a woman added. This one was closed and left alone. The trail showed where Ilena had gone, not what had taken her or the price of following. Lorian lay upstairs with magic in his wound. Elspeth understood neither the cover nor what waited behind it. Come, she told Sira. Sira did not move. We cannot open it without knowing more. Ilena is missing. I know. You don't remember her. There was no accusation in her voice, only the terror of being the last person holding someone's existence. Elspeth knelt. No, I don't. Sira closed her fingers over the bracelet. Then you might think I invented her. Elspeth looked into the solemn eyes that already expected adults to doubt what hurt. I don't remember, Ilena, she said. But I remember your face when you tell the truth. You believe me? Yes. She would not open the well yet, or abandon the girl beneath it. They began with the innkeeper. She remembered no Ilena. Asked whether she had siblings, she said she had always been an only child. Then she noticed a small wooden boat on a shelf. I made that when I was young, she said. At least, I made part of it. 2 childish initials were carved beneath the hull. Who made the second? Elspeth asked. The woman traced it with her thumb. I don't know. Her bewilderment carried an old sadness. A silver thread circled the second initial in Elspeth's sight. You may have had a brother. The innkeeper gave an uncertain smile. Sometimes I thought someone ought to be sitting opposite me at the table. It was not proof, it was enough. Rosamond, the village midwife, kept the birth records. She was small and white-haired, with quick eyes that settled first on Elspeth's herb bag. A healer? Yes. That gained them the old register. Ilena's name did not appear. There was no scratched-out line, no correction. The book behaved as though she had never lived. Elspeth read backward. 18 years before, fever had crossed the village and vanished as abruptly as it came. The ink beside those births was faint. The same disturbance appeared farther back. How often? Elspeth asked. Rosamond considered. Once in a generation, sometimes longer. And the fever always ends on its own? So people say. Through Elspeth's right eye, names shimmered beneath the writing under thin silver magic. The last was Ilena. Sira leaned over the page. There. Rosamond looked from the child to Elspeth. What do you see? There are names. Water damage. Lorian stood in the doorway, pale beneath his dark cloak. The fever had broken, though one hand remained near his ribs. His eyes touched the page for a moment. Old ink spreads, he told Rosamond. My healer has not slept. No one argued. Elspeth glared at him. He gave the smallest shake of his head. Not here. She closed the register. Outside, Lorian said, Take me to the well. He asked nothing on the way. At the well, he ran his fingers over markings time had nearly erased. This is not a cover, he said. It is a door. He pressed his palm against the stone. Silver gathered beneath his hand, and the wooden lid unlocked. Steps descended through light. Lorian turned to Sira. You stay above. Ilena will be afraid. We do not know what is below us. Elspeth took Sira's hand. She comes with us. Lorian's expression hardened. It is unsafe. So is leaving her alone. I would rather know where she is. Command rose in him from habit. He looked at Sira and let it fall. Do not leave my side. The steps ended in a warm, round room. A fire burned. Bread, apples, and a teapot waited on the table. Ilena sat beneath a green blanket on a narrow bed. You came! She ran to Sira and they embraced. The woman told me to wait, Ilena said. The woman stood near the far wall in a dark green dress, a traveling chest at her feet. She looked accustomed to a duty older than conscience. Lord Lorian, she said, I did not expect the seal to answer you still. Release the child. I cannot. Your own court recognized the bargain. The village does not remember agreeing to it. Memory is not one of the terms. What are the terms? Elspeth asked. The Fey woman's eyes rested briefly on Elspeth's right one. When fever comes, we take it away. In exchange, one child crosses the veil. Sira held Ilena's hand more tightly. She isn't going. I do not choose them, the woman said. I collect what is owed. Where do you take her? To a house that has asked for a new member. Ilena looked up. You said it might be a palace. Perhaps. You will have a home, an education, and a very long life. Can she return to her parents? Elspeth asked. They do not remember her. That is part of the mercy. Whose mercy? The woman did not answer. Lorian looked at the chest. You have not renamed her. At sunset. Ilena lifted her chin. I have a name. For now. What happens when you change it? Elspeth asked. Lorian answered. The new name binds her to the Fae world. Her human memories begin to fade. Ilena's face emptied of color. Will I forget Mama? Lorian's honesty was rarely gentle, but it did not hide. Yes. Ilena went to Elspeth. Elspeth put an arm around her. I don't want a palace. I know. Children seldom do at first. Later they become second-born and find their place. How many children have you taken from this village? 3 before her. 3 names in the register. The keeper looked at Lorian. Your house once defended these bargains. My house defended many wrong things. Law does not vanish because regret has found you. It may still be challenged. By whom? The parents have forgotten. The village received its protection, and you no longer possess the authority of your house. Lorian had gone pale, but his voice stayed level. The child still carries her human name. Until sunset. Then the bargain is unfinished. The keeper hesitated. What do you propose? Her name may hold her here, if those from whom she was taken accept it. Her parents, Elspeth said, and the village. They cannot remember her. They must choose her before memory is returned. The keeper folded her arms. Tell the healer what follows. Elspeth looked at Lorian. This time he left no truth behind his teeth. If they break the bargain, the fever returns. How long do we have? Until sunset, said the keeper. She would not let Ilena leave before the choice was made. Sira untied the red yarn from her wrist. I'll give this to your mother. Ilena faltered. What if you don't come back? We will. Lorian crouched before her despite the wound. Keep saying your name while you wait. Ilena. Again, whenever it begins to sound unfamiliar. Marian opened the door without inviting them in. We know where Ilena is, Elspeth said, the girl you cannot remember. The woman stiffened. I told you, I have no daughter. She remembers you. Her husband appeared behind her. What do you want? Sira stepped forward. She wants to come home. She offered Marian the red bracelet. Marian did not take it at first. Ilena tied it yesterday, Sira said. She said it meant we were friends. Marian stared at the yarn, then slowly reached for it. Her fingers found the knot at once, turning it as if they had loosened it from a child's wrist 100 times. She froze. How do I know this? Sira tied the bracelet around her. With her right eye, Elspeth saw a silver thread stretching toward the well. Memory did not return, but something beneath it answered. She pressed a hand to her chest. Ilena, Sira said. Marian closed her eyes. I cannot see her. You don't have to, Elspeth said. You only have to allow that something may have been taken from you. You expect me to believe in magic? No. Elspeth looked at the third bowl on the table. I expect you to believe the things your hands keep doing without your permission. Her husband followed her gaze and lifted the empty bowl. We always set 3 places, he said, for a guest. We never have guests at breakfast. Marian sat down. The bracelet trembled against her wrist. Elspeth told them about the well, the bargain, and the child waiting below. She left the word daughter between them. Can she come back? The man asked. If the village rejects the bargain, Lorian said. And then? The fever returns. He stood so quickly the chair scraped the floor. You ask us to endanger everyone for a child we do not know. Marian looked at him. What if not knowing her is part of what was done? We cannot be certain. No. She touched the red thread. But someone taught my hands this knot. Silence followed. Then Marian stood. I want to see her. You must choose first, Lorian said, before the magic gives back what it took. Then we will choose in front of everyone. Afraid, her husband followed. Gathering the villagers was easier than persuading them. When Lorian described the chamber, disbelief filled the square. Our ancestors would never trade a child. The register kept the names, Elspeth said. Rosamond laid the book on the stone rim. The erased names remained hidden, but the pattern showed. Fever, sudden recovery, absences among the births. That proves no bargain, the merchant said. No, Elspeth replied. It proves that something is missing. The innkeeper raised the wooden boat. Someone is missing from this. She showed them the initials beneath it. I believed I made this alone. I have no memory of carving the other mark. And now you think you had a brother? I don't know what I had. She held the boat close. I only know that when Elspeth said brother, this toy stopped looking lonely. The square quieted. Others named small mistakes they had lived beside. A song for 2 children, 2 names on an old bench, a family story whose number of children kept changing. Together they formed the shape of an absence. Suppose we believe you, the merchant said. What must we do? Lorian stood beside the well. Give up the protection of the bargain. And let the fever return? Yes. You will not be the one watching our children burn. I will stay, Elspeth said. The merchant looked at her. Can you save them? She could have lied to persuade them. That would only steal another choice. I will do everything I know, she said. I cannot promise who will live. Fear moved through them. Marian stepped forward, still searching for a face that would not form. I do not know what she looks like, Marian said. I do not know her voice. I do not know whether she loves me. She closed her hand around the bracelet. A child is beneath this well, saying I am her mother, and the magic that took her removed everything I might use to judge whether she speaks the truth. Her voice shook. That is not mercy. It is how the bargain makes certain we can never refuse it. Her husband stood beside her, still afraid. If we reject it, we should know what we are choosing. Marian looked toward the well. We are choosing to be asked next time. Lorian glanced at the sinking sun. There is little time. How is it broken? Rosamond asked. Accept what was erased, he said. Begin with the child's name. Marian placed the bracelet against the stone. Ilena. Nothing answered. She drew breath. Ilena, my daughter. Silver light opened beneath her palm. Her husband closed his eyes. Ilena. Sira stood between them and spoke next, then the innkeeper, then Rosamond. Some remained silent. Others joined, uncertain at first. The name crossed the square not as a spell but as room made for a child before memory supplied a reason. The markings dissolved into silver light. Water rose to the rim. On its other side stood the keeper, holding Ilena's hand. The village rejects the bargain, she said. Ilena was still a stranger to Marian. Marian did not look away. Yes. The keeper released the child. Ilena stepped through the water and stopped before her mother, suddenly uncertain whether she had the right to touch her. Mama? Marian fell to her knees and gathered her close. The memories returned one by one. Ilena sleeping with a hand beneath her cheek, her first lost tooth, the hair that never stayed braided. The stranger in Marian's arms became the child she had missed without knowing anyone was gone. Ilena. Now the name carried a life. Her father knelt and wrapped both of them in his arms. Around the square others recovered names, fragments, and the ache of places once occupied. Those children could not be brought home, but they were no longer erased. The fever returned that night. This time, no child vanished with it. Elspeth stayed. For several hard days she moved from bed to bed, boiling bark, cooling skin, counting breaths. At last it broke. Soon Sira and Ilena were again launching walnut shell boats into water too shallow for anyone to become lost. The next morning, Lorian ordered the horses saddled. We leave now. Because of the keeper. She saw us. She knows I broke a bargain recognized by my court, and she knows Sira travels with me." He looked toward the road. "By nightfall, they will know where we are." Elspeth did not argue. Lorian was strong enough to ride. The villagers filled their bags with food and herbs. Ilena tied red yarn around Sira's wrist and held her tightly before letting go. They rode beyond the white houses into the hills. "Where are we going?" Elspeth asked. Lorian looked along the road ahead. "Somewhere the old bargains do not yet know our names." Elspeth did not answer. She only nudged her horse closer to his, near enough that their stirrups almost touched, and said nothing about why. Together they went in search of it.